Alright, welcome to the recap. So I'm going to go over what I saw today, how I formed my bias, and then the two trades that I took. So the first thing I saw is, I'm on the daily here, is that we swept out this low, this daily low here, and on ES we were still holding this daily fair value gap, and we swept this daily low, so this internal low. And then I drew out the fib on this range here, and we still were respecting equilibrium of this range. And let me get rid of this. And then we had this SMT here with this low. So this gap here is the main thing that made me bullish for the day, and this SMT. And then I went, and there was not much on the 4 hour, like no 4 hour gaps to really react off of over here on ES. And let me pull up this so it's more clean. So yeah, there wasn't much over here. We just had left this low and these lows down here. So I went to the weekly time frame, and I remembered we had this weekly rejection block here that I wanted to see get tapped into. So I marked out this weekly rejection block, and we also had a daily rejection block right here. Now I marked this as the daily rejection block. It's not the best rejection block, but I went ahead and marked this. Alright, so we tapped the CE of this daily rejection block. Oops. And then we also tapped the beginning of this weekly rejection block. So that was my like high time frame PD ray to look for upside. And we also were starting to get a reaction off of that level. Alright, and then we did have some news overnight, which is part of the reason for this dump. But I didn't care too much about that. I pretty much just viewed this as AMD right here. So we have this accumulation right here, and then this is London, which just looked like manipulation to me if I put on this indicator. This just looked like nice manipulation down into our key level. And then the SMT daily fair value gap on ES. Pretty much same idea. So here's ES on the 1 hour. So yeah, daily gap here. We swept out London low, started to get a reaction up here. So, and then I did mark out this 1 hour gap right here, or this is a 1 hour time frame. Yeah, this gap. So pretty much my draw was London high and then these highs up here, right? For this little market maker buy model. If this is going to be the accumulation, then we should come up back up here to these highs. This is Asia high. And then if you look at the daily open as well, we were below the daily open, and this just looked like the manipulation leg to me. So I marked out this 1 hour and said, okay, either this is going to get inversed and we're going to come up to these highs, or I'm just wrong, and then this gap is going to hold, and then we can come down, sweep out this low, which we were pretty close to on the 4 hour. This low here, and then we did have this monthly fair value gap down here, which I do want to see get hit eventually. We have this monthly gap and this monthly gap. So if you do look at the monthly time frame, it does look like we're just going to come for this. So I had pretty much two scenarios for that. So let's go to open. Let's see. All right, here's open. There was really no entries. Like I didn't see anything to the upside here. But then I just waited for 10 a.m. and I wanted to see this 1 hour get inversed. So here's 10 a.m. All right, and then this 1 hour got inversed nicely. All right, let me get rid of this. And on ES, it doesn't get inversed, which is not great. But I was still pretty confident in longs because we were this close to London High. And I didn't really have much of a reason to look for downside after this. Like we did have this 1 hour gap here, which I marked. So it would be nice if we hit that to look for upside. But what I saw is we had this nice 15-minute gap right here. And we had a 5-minute inside of this. So here's the 5-minute. All right, so I was pretty confident in longs. I just wanted to see 10 a.m. get a manipulation down into this gap and then take a trade up to London High. Now, I did see on ES that we had this 4 hour. So I said, okay, I probably don't want to long if 10 a.m. opens higher into this 4 hour gap on ES because that would be pretty unfortunate for longs. And we were pretty much holding this 1 hour gap on ES. So I just gave it some time. I want to see these lows get swept here. And then we did have this 1 hour gap and we did have these lows, which didn't look great. So my idea was either we can get a reaction off of this, or we just come through this and then we'll wait for something out of this gap, which technically would have been a lot better of a trade because we were very premium in this 1 hour leg. But we were premium in this 1 hour range, but we were still so close to these highs that I didn't think we were going to come all the way down here. So I drew out the fib on this 5-minute leg off this low here. All right, and then I waited for this 15-minute gap to get hit. And I wanted OTE of this range because I wanted this 5-minute to get hit right here. Here's the 5-minute. So yeah, I wanted this to get hit. I didn't want to see this get left behind. And then I wanted this low here to get swept so that we could sweep out all this liquidity and then get the move back up. So pretty much 10 a.m. manipulated lower, and then we hit this level here. So I wanted to wait for a 3-minute rejection block. I didn't want to take a 1-minute just because I usually just like to wait for a 3-minute. And then we get this 3-minute right here. And why is it? Okay, there. So this closes bullish and I took this. So I put my entry about quarter of the way down. Stop here. And I wanted to see at least these highs. And this actually fails. So I think this was a valid trade. This 3-minute looked pretty good. If you look at the 1-minute, there's not really a 1-minute rejection block inside of this 3-minute, which makes it not as good. Also, I drew the fib on the 5-minute leg, which is probably a mistake I made because if you put it on the 15-minute, it makes a bit more sense if we're using the 15-minute gap. So if you put it here at this 15-minute low, you'll see that this 3-minute actually edges the OTE of the 15-minute range. But I still think this 3-minute minute made a lot of sense. Swept out this low, hits the 15-minute CE, 5-minute gap. I thought it looked good. We had this accumulation up here. So that one fails, and then I just pretty much wasn't so sure until I saw this. So we made a new 1 minute right here, and then I saw this 3 minute. So I took this 3 minute, just re-entered right here, and then targeted these highs. Also, this 3 minute, the close is so small. Like if you zoom out, you can't really, it almost looks like it closed bearish. So it's not the best close. Um, but yeah, so I took this 3 minute. My entry was around here, and then I just put my stop under this little low. So it's a little bit tighter. So I got tagged in on this candle, and I went break even around here once we swept these little 1 minute highs. Made sense to go break even. And then I saw this. So we had 10 a.m. open, and I wanted to see us just displace past it and just hit these highs right away because we're so close to these highs. I didn't think we were going to react off of this. But if you look at the 5 minute, it makes sense because we had 1800 right here. We had this new day opening gap, and we had, I guess this would be the 5 minute rejection block. And it was also a 15 minute. So I did see this 15 minute rejection block, but I didn't think it was going to hold. But it turns out it does. So I saw we were rejecting 10 a.m. right here on the 1 minute. And I was still in the trade here. Then I popped to the 15 minute. I saw this. I noticed this 15 minute rejection block. It's off of this new day opening gap, which is from today and 1800. So I ended up just closing because I didn't want to risk it. And at the same time, we still had this 1 hour down here. So it made sense for us to reject 10 a.m. So I closed right around here. So this ended up being a little over a 1 to 2, I think. Yeah, something like that. I'll pull up the execution. Okay. Um, all right. So you can see here's the first trade on this 3 minute. Also, did this close? No, it closed bullish. So yeah, here's the first trade, and then here's the second trade. So yeah, close a bit early. Yeah, I didn't want to risk just getting break even. On that. So, oops. All right. So that was a trade. Went ahead and closed at 10 a.m. And then you see that we do get this reaction off 10 a.m. And I think we came down to this 1 hour. And here's ES. Also, ES looks so bad. Like, I think we did have equal lows here. Yeah, which I didn't even notice, to be fair. But we did have these equal lows. And we still had this 15-minute rejection block here. So, yeah. Pretty choppy. We do have like FOMC meeting minutes later, and we did have news, so it makes sense. But let me get out of replay. Yeah, so we just dumped. Um, to these lows. Makes sense. I did want to see higher, like it's kind of weird we just leave this, but maybe we get something out of this. We'll see. Not the best day. Makes sense. We did have this news here. So yeah, if you did take maybe this 15 minute, this makes sense. This 15-minute rejection block with 10 a.m. We have this manipulation on the 5 minute. Come back up to 10 a.m. right here. Aligns with OTE. Yeah. Makes sense if you took this. I don't know. I didn't want it didn't look that clean. Not something I would take really. Maybe if we had an SMT. Yeah. I just had a lot more reasons to look for upside today with all this liquidity up here. But yeah, that's the two trades I took. I think the first one was pretty unfortunate. Second trade was a lot better. Would be nice if we actually came for these highs instead of just dumping. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And then I'll see you guys in the next one.